What?
I was wondering when you were teaching, you always had a glass of water or something.
I have to. I get real thirsty.
I just remember.
Are you going to take it away? It's one of the few perks I have. It's just about it. Good evening. Welcome to the 13th annual Business and Professional Women's Recognition of Achievement Contest. I'm glad you're here. BPW is glad you're here. I hope you're glad you're here. And the community will be glad to watch you. I'd like to thank Mrs. Thompson, who is taping this tonight on FPAC. And I'm not quite sure when it's going to be rebroadcast, but watch the scroll and find out, and then watch and see how we did. Some of you may be going, what is the deal with this contest? And I'd like to share that. These have to go. I'm getting older, but I just can't stand those yet. What we have, maybe some of you recognize it, there's a ballot. And this ballot was in like the banks and the credit unions in the lobby. It was also printed in the Fairfield Ledger and also printed in the Town Crier. And it was also emailed to different people. Like I sent it through the Fairfield School District, for example, through the email. And it shows the 11 basic categories that we feel all women who work have an opportunity to work in. And it gives blanks where people can write their names and where they work. Then what happens is whoever would like to vote, adults in the community, turn these ballots back into the banks or the credit unions, or they can email us back, or they can at meetings or whatever. We've gotten the ballots in several different places. They get us back to us, and the committee, Diane, Whitney, and I, go through, and Cara Perkins go through, and we count the ballots, and that determines who the winner is. So you ladies, if you come up and go, you tell me who voted for me and what they said, we can't do that because all we know is it's ballots, okay? They appear anonymously in our boxes and in our emails, and we count. And that is how you got it, okay? So we can't tell you names, who's, et cetera, et cetera. And we've been doing this for 13 years, as we've said, and so we're recognizing well over 100 women over the lifespan of this contest. This contest is not a national BPW thing. It's not a state BPW thing. It's a Fairfield unique contest that we run just for us, the women and the community of Fairfield. So any questions about how the process actually works? All right, so then that takes us to this evening where we all got to call you and we got to mention, that you had won in a category. And the procedure we're going to follow tonight is we're going to say what your category is, what you won in, and your name, and then you get to come up and talk. And talk and talk and talk. I mean, a half an hour, 60 minutes, no, it doesn't have to be that painful. Just a few minutes, if you would, please share who you are, how you came to be this person, where your background is from, maybe your dreams, your goals, maybe what you like about work, maybe what is very challenging to you. It's your time to shine. So here's your podium. You can share what it is you'd like to share. And then we ask if anybody from the audience has a question. They can say, what about this and what about that? And it's very painless and fun. And we hope that you feel very honored. Very honored. Because it's not every day that somebody says you're outstanding. Or maybe I should rephrase that. It's not every day somebody tells me I'm outstanding, so I would assume that it's not every day that you get to hear it. Or if you do, then just add it to the list of one more day. So, today, We are going to start out by recognizing the outstanding female executive manager, owner, and supervisor. And because this is our 13th year, I'm going to try to mention previous winners that you're joining the ranks of so you feel good. Joining the ranks of Joe Fritz, Tammy McMahon, Jeannie Myers, Jerry Headley, Candace Badgett, Luann Morton, Gay Chapman, Judy Alexander, Pam Rainier, Amy Weber, Sherry Lowe, is none other than Curves owner Sue Belle.
And I just had to be first.
There you are. Congratulations.
Thank you very
We have a
much.
little information about business and
Okay.
professional.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Goudy, for
You're
that
welcome.
wonderful introduction. And I just want to say that you are outstanding. I wrote up some little things just so I wouldn't forget some little highlights I wanted to hit on. Thank you very much for this award. So I must tell you that when Diane called me last week, and she left a message on my answering machine, and it said, "Susan, you need to call me tonight. Doesn't matter how late it is, just call me." And I had this fear go through me. She works out at Curves in the evening, and I just thought, oh my gosh, what happened at Curves tonight? You know, I was thinking the worst. And when I called her back, to my surprise, she had at that time told me that I had won this award. And I was very surprised because I don't generally consider myself a business person, although I run the day-to-day business at Curves and Tropical Tan and the personnel and the inventory and everything that goes on there. I don't wear a business suit to work. I wear a jogging suit, which suits me fine, but I was rather surprised. Tropical Tan is a high-performance tanning salon for men and women, and we're also a proud member of the International Smart Tan Organization. Curves for Women is the #1 fitness franchise and the #2 overall franchise this year in the Entrepreneur Magazine Top 500 listing, which we're very proud to be a part of. Curves for Women is a 30-minute fitness and weight loss center for women, and our slogan is "The Power to Amaze Yourself." I'd like to say, for one thing, how proud I am of every member that comes in, every lady that comes into Curves. We have a nice age range, all the way from 10 years old to in the late 80s, women that come in. And we are so proud of these 70 and 80-year-old women that come trucking in there, and they're truly our inspiration, that we want to be like that when we're their age. It's very inspiring. I also wanted to thank my mother, who's been a big influence in my life. I brought her here tonight. It's Betty Gray. And she really shows me willpower and strength, and she's been through a lot in her life, and it has affected me in a very positive way. She's taught me patience and kindness, and her little motto always is "do all things with love," and so I try to do that in all the things that I do. This is one of the most rewarding careers that I have had, and on a daily basis it's so awesome because we have women come in each day and tell us the benefits, the results that they have seen from Curves, and it's so wonderful. And the great thing is, and they're doing it, we are providing the environment and the space and the equipment, but these women are doing it all on their own. They're making the time to come in and prioritize health, put that on their top list of priorities. We have women who lose inches and lose weight, but we also have women who go off blood pressure medicine, who have fibromyalgia, that haven't been feeling that great, and they haven't felt this great in years. We have ladies with MS. We have so many, cholesterol levels that are changing. All the things inside, not just outside, that are making changes for the better. What also is so amazing and rewarding is when a woman comes in our facility, and she might be down on herself. She might be having personal problems, just not a real happy camper, and we get to watch her change through a couple of weeks. How she smiles when she's out in the circuit meeting new friends or talking with friends she hasn't seen for a long time, and leaving with a smile and coming back with a smile. There's a huge transformation emotionally that goes on with women. I'm also very proud of the mothers and the mothers and working mothers who have put their health as priority in their life. And I know how difficult that this is when you're expected to take care of those around us and put ourselves second. We all know that a healthy mother is a much happier person and more productive at work. So we're very proud of all the women that come in. Dianne Goudy had a huge influence on me. I went to high school here in Fairfield and took her office education courses, and she really was a big motivator in my life through high school, and I'd like to thank her for that very much.
Thank you.
And I'm also opening a Curves in Ottumwa 3 weeks from today. And I'm not quite ready yet, but I'll have to be. May 19th is my opening date. So, thank you very much for the award.
Before you leave, Sue, does anybody have any questions for Sue? Because that's part of tonight, is that you can share or ask or...
Sure. How many children?
Oh, I have 2 daughters, ages 6 and 8. They go to Washington School in 1st and 2nd grade.
Beautiful little bitty girls. I've seen the
They're just little
pictures.
angels.
Any other questions for Sue? This is kind of cool. I've never given an award to a previous student before, and she was a good student. I remember her well. Thank you. And thank you, Vivian, for hosting. Appreciate that. You did good, Mama Gray. You did good.
And she is the youngest of 10, so.
She's the youngest of 10? Whoa. That's pretty good.
I should have mentioned that.
Yes, oh, that's good. That's very good. All right, our second award this evening goes to someone who I consider a friend and also a very helpful person. We have an outstanding female health professional, and she just happens to go to the clinic where I take my children and myself. And no, I didn't rig this contest either, Marianne, and it wasn't my votes that did this, so don't go, oh, she did that, and then, because that's not really true at all. So, we have outstanding female health professionals joining the ranks of Janine Parker, Kim Woods, Luann Hoover, Mary Hill, Ann Buck, Vicki McKeever, Sherry Smith, Rosemary Roth, Karen Crawford, Tony Hill, Nancy Huff. We have Phyllis Baum's guest this evening, Marianne Ledger, a registered nurse from the Medical Arts Clinic.
Thank you. There's that. A little information about BPW.
Thank you. Well, I've been a nurse for 25 years. Graduated from Northeast Missouri State University in Kirksville, and been in Fairfield for 25 years. And married to Joe for 25 years also. So, it's like, came to Fairfield with Joe and worked at the hospital for 5 years, and then went to medical arts, and have been there for 20 years. Seen a lot of changes in the medical field over these 25 years, but have really, I've always loved nursing, and it's just something that I've always done. It's changed a lot. There's a lot more involved anymore with the HIPAA rules, and with computers and electronic medical records is our newest challenge. But there are still some things that are always the same. I mean, you still have to have a caring, soft touch, and listen to a lot of people, because a lot of things are not always medical related, but they're still a part of those people's lives. I have 2 children. Sarah's 22 and graduating from college here in another week, 2 weeks, and she's going to probably go on to into the health field also. And Emily is going to start high school this next fall, and I don't know what she's going to do. And and I'll probably keep working here at Joe Farms, and so it's just been and you learn a lot about families, and so it's been a really rewarding experience, and it's been a wonderful community to be a part of. Thank you for the award.
Thank you, Marianne. Does anyone have any questions for Marianne? Glad to see you got to come, Joe. Are you proud of her?
Yes.
All right, you should be. She did a great job. Our next category is certainly a category that many women and some men also belong to, and that is the Outstanding Female Bank and Financial Institution Employee. I don't know this lady. Where are you sitting? There you go. Real well, but there she was tonight. She had worked a full day at her job. She flies over to the booster club at the high school, and she's serving hot dogs and making popcorn and making change and flying here. So she truly is an outstanding woman trying to organize all of these pieces together. So winning this year as the Outstanding Female Bank Employee and joining the ranks of Carol Weiscarver, Janet Dickey, Melanie Lisk, Marcia Gaines, Marilyn Spees, Judith Hall, Diane Beeman, Joni Manning, Sandy Worley, Karen Greiner, Kathy Riney. I introduce to you Marie Kiefer's guest, Elodie Sellers.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I've been in the banking profession at the Iowa State Bank for 32 years now, and it wasn't where I was originally going to do. I went to Northeast Missouri State Teachers College, and I was going to be a guidance counselor, but the summer that I had between my freshman and sophomore year, I got a job at the bank to work part-time, and that's the following year I thought, well, I'll stay because I liked it, and I'd go earn some money and go back to school later. Well, I'm still there. I have 2 children. Julie is in Fort Myers, Florida, and she's a guidance counselor, and she's 31, and I have two grandchildren, which I don't get to see very often. And I have a son, Derek, who's in Peoria, Illinois, and he works for Caterpillar as a mechanical engineer. So I don't get to see anyone in my family very often, so the bank is kind of my family at home here. And I've worked in all the departments, pretty much. And I like being the teller most of all because that's who you actually can talk to people. You're their sometimes receptionist. You can serve their problems. You can help do anything before you pass them on to the other people that they need to see. And sometimes some of these people, you're the only people that they even contact with, like some of the older people really enjoy just visiting and talking. And you'd be surprised how many times they come in for, we think, stupid little items, but it's just to keep in contact with you. And it's just a really rewarding position, and I like it very well. Thank you.
Thanks, Elodie. Anybody have any questions for Elodie? Is the banking industry changing quite a bit?
Yeah.
To the good?
Yeah.
Well, if you just got a part-time job and you were only going to be there for a while, and this is your, 31st year, did you say?
Yeah, I'm on my 31st.
I think you're in there for more than part-time.
Yeah.
I think she's probably a keeper.
Yeah.
Probably a keeper. Congratulations, Elodie. Our next category is for a governmental employee working on either the city, the county, the state, or the federal level. It's an honor. She was one of my former students, too. That's pretty cool. Were you guys in the same class? No, miles apart?
No, not too far apart.
Not too far apart? I remember having both of you in class.
Yes, you were younger.
Now, don't take it outside and work this thing. You know, we're all born when we're born, and it's okay. Joining the ranks of Donna Clark, Pat Freeberg, Bonnie Kessel, Tina Wright, Barb Droz, Judith Robinson, Sherry Blau, Denise Estel, Fran Cox, Lisa Metcalf, is the guest of Marie Kiefer and Cara Perkins. I introduce to you Tammy Hamilton.
Thank you. As Diane said, it's really especially neat to be here tonight since I did get my start with the office education program, and Diane was my instructor. She did an outstanding job.
Oh, thank you.
And it was a wonderful program. I started working at the DOT district office here in town under the direction of Dee Bradley, who is also here tonight. The Department of Transportation has many divisions within it, and I work for the Highway Maintenance Division. The scope of my job involves administrative and supportive roles and handling such things as contracts for materials, inventories, purchases, disaster tracking, CARS 511 system, as well as several other things. Outside of work, I'm a Girl Scout leader, troop cookie program manager. I help out at school, and with T-ball, I teach a children's program at church. and I also serve as church secretary. I have a daughter that's in 4th grade at Pence, and my son is in 1st grade at Pence. I would also like time tonight to thank BPW for the work that they do in the community, and I know a lot of the local organizations don't always get a thank you, but I'd just like to recognize them tonight, and whether it's passing out scholarships or awards like tonight, it's meant a lot and makes a difference in the community. And I know most of you are familiar with Helen Steiner Rice, and I'd just like to read one of her poems. It's called Give Lavishly, Live Abundantly. The more you give, the more you get. The more you laugh, the less you fret. The more you do unselfishly, the more you live abundantly. The more of everything you share, the more you'll always have to spare. The more you love, the more you'll find that life is good and friends are kind. For only what we give away enriches us from day to day. And thank you, BPW, for enriching Fairfield, and thank you for honoring me tonight.
My goodness, that was a very good speech. I'll give you an A+ for that. Very good. Had it all ready and it all fit in, and oh my, that was very good. Where did we go to state contests and then national contests? Where did we go for nationals?
Ohio?
Was it? I don't remember. Where'd we go?
We went to
Minnesota.
Houston and Indianapolis. Yeah.
We used to travel all over the place and take busloads of kids and go all over. It was great. For those who are going, we used to have the office education program at the high school for years and years, and what it was a program where kids who were interested in business and office went to work, and they had a class with me at 7:30 in the morning. Oh, they loved it. 7:30 in the morning, we'd have our class, and then they'd go to periods like 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever they needed, government or history or whatever, and then in the afternoons they would go to work in local industry, and they got a credit for that towards high school, and it was called the office education program, and this was very popular in a lot of schools. Then we also had what was called COE, and that was the Cooperative Occupational Experience Program, and maybe some of you knew Gwen and Keith Wells. They ran at different years, and it was for the kids who were not the business office-y kids. It was for, they might be sales or they might be ag or anything else, and then we had that for a lot of years. And then we had nothing for a few years, and now the pendulum swings back, and now we've got what's called the School to Work program, and now Mrs. Kristen Bandy is in charge of the School to Work program, and now it's back to a mixture of kids in a mixture of goals and careers. They go out for 2 class periods a day. They also get high school credit. My kids used to get paid. Mrs. Banny's kids don't get paid, and there's advantages to both ways. An advantage to the School to Work program now is that an employer can sign on and say, yes, I'll take a high school student, and the high school student doesn't have to feel bad like, oh, all I got to do today was watch because I don't know how to do that. It was a difficult task and I can't do it as a high school student. But you can learn a ton by watching someone else do it. And so, the observation possibilities now and the pressure of not having to be productive, is good, whereas before it was a different balance, and they both have their place. And so now we've got the School to Work program. So if any of you are employers out there who would like to have a high school student learn a career path, that's something to think about. And Mrs. Bandy's in charge of it now, but these 2 kids and we went through a lot together. Some good and some crazy, but we had fun. Okay. Which takes us to the next category, which is our office administrative support employees, and this goes back to the first winner ever. Dee Bradley, you were the first winner ever in this category. Do you feel special? Yes, I do. I thought you did. She looked just real special there for a minute. And so joining us in the office administrative support employees, Dee Bradley, Sylvia Smith, Nanette Conger, Doris Eklund, Linda Messerly, Barb Rominger, Debbie Sammons, Teresa Roberts, Karen Fulton, Amanda Potts. And this is kind of special because you're leaving. This is your last year in this position, and so this is kind of exciting. She's a stalwart. How many of you guys have bused your children in the Fairfield Community School District? You have bused them? Any of your kids ride the buses? I mean, she is the queen of the Director of Auxiliary Services out there. She takes care of business. May I introduce to you Diane Whitney's guest, Linda Unkrich.
Thank you.
Thanks, Diane and
You bet,
Diane.
Linda.
It's a nice honor. I didn't start out to be a secretary. I started to college thinking I was going into education, but kind of like Elodie, I had a summer job in an office, liked it really well, so I went back to college and took secretarial courses and changed my major to business. Then I got married and had some children and was a stay-at-home mom for a long time. Right now I'm on my 27th year as administrative assistant for the auxiliary services department of the schools. I have thoroughly enjoyed my job, but I am going to retire June the 30th. In all those 26 plus years, I could probably count on one hand the number of times that I've dreaded going to work. I've loved it. I love office work, and my job has so many different facets to it that I've never been bored. I handle the two-way radio communications with all the buses and mechanics, maintenance people. I do a lot of record keeping. We have to account for every gallon of gas and quart of oil and everything that go in all of our vehicles. I also compile and file the state lunch reports so we can get a reimbursement to continue our lunch program. I code all the invoices for maintenance, cafeteria, transportation. It's a very fun job, just never boring. Let's see. Dick and I have three. Well, I work with figures a lot, but I've always said 3 is my favorite figure because we have 3 beautiful daughters, 3 wonderful sons-in-law, 3 sweet little granddaughters, and 3 super grandsons. And it's one thing I'm really looking forward to in retirement is spending more time with my grandchildren. Anything anybody would like to ask me? Thanks again. And I would feel very honored.
Thank you, Linda. I'm glad you do feel honored because you should. You know, you used to have the office in the bus barn, that lovely facility, you know, out back of the high school. You know, I mean, it was quite the office. I mean, if you're looking for chick offices, very plush. I mean, she had it. She really did. But then what happened was they moved the whole bus barn, you know, to the other end of town. And now actually she does have a chick office. I mean, it's not plush, you know, because it's built with government monies, but it's very nice. It's very nice. And I can't go on FPAC saying it's plush and it's not. But it's nice, and so now when you finally got a really nice office, you're going to leave. But
I don't have to go home from work and take a shower. That's, you know, from that diesel smell.
her office for years and years was right in the area where they serviced the buses, and so she'd kind of truck through and a little oil here and there, and so you deserved 1 year of, you know, kind of your nice little area. And so I hope you have lots of fun with your grandkids and children, and we wish you well. They have hired her position for next year, have they not? Yeah. And it is, I assume it's okay to say, Pam Mitchell, yeah, is who was serving as our activities director secretary for years, is now moving out to be the assistant for the auxiliary services. And Pam Mitchell's job is, I guess, open at this time. So those of you looking to change your career path, there's an opening for you. All right. The business and professional women, we are all women who work in various capacities. But we would be remiss if we didn't honor a volunteer, because volunteers are a crucial part to every profitable organization, to every not profitable organization, to anything that's trying to get a task done. We have honored in the past ladies such as Dorothy Barrow, Georgette Whitmer, Bernita Pettit, Colleen Smith, Kathleen Bodner, Eulela Conger, Mary Anders, Lillian Theda. I thought of her this year because she always helped with these ballots and got it in the crier, and it's just like we're not going to call Lillian this year, and we honor her in memoriam. Jackie Leby, Darlene Voorhees. And tonight we're honoring Fern Lawson's guest, who actually volunteers in several organizations. Would you please help me welcome Maxine French?
This is quite a surprise, but I'm happy to be here. Volunteering is really a hobby of mine, and I volunteer in many different capacities, and I enjoy working at the Lord's Cupboard and both nursing homes some, and was helped with the loan closet for about 18 years, and so. But then about in '83, I got involved with the American Cancer Society, and that can be almost full time, especially right now where we're into the relays, and we have our relays coming up May 16th and 17th. It's an all-night affair, so you should all come out and join us. We start at 6 p.m. on the 16th on Friday night, and we end at 6 a.m. Saturday morning. It's an all night. We have entertainment all night long, and we have a lot of prizes. But the main thing, well, two main things. Of course, we walk all night long. We have, I think, 40 teams or something like that this year, and each team consists of maybe 7 to 10 members. And I have a team, and my team, I'm captain, and we are the recycled teens. See, we're all young people. So anyway, we have around 40 teams, like I said, and we can walk. We're supposed to walk. Somebody will be walking on that track all night long, and we should each walk 1 hour. And we're going to stay all night long, some of us, and we start at 6 at night and then 6 in the morning. And we also, then one big thing that I work on are the luminaries. And maybe you have all bought your luminaries by now, but they are $5 each. And what they are is that you can have one in memory of someone, and they don't have to have died of cancer. Or you have an honor of someone, maybe a grandchild. I could honor, I have a great-grandchild that's going to be 3 in June, so I could honor her. So we have a lot of people. We have a committee. We are working on the luminaries, and you can order them. I call myself, or this year, Jean Keller and Donna Wolf are head of the relays this year. And let's see, there were several of us working on the luminary committee. And if you like to have a luminary, and we need to have those in so we can get your name on the sack before the 16th. So I'm getting myself kind of confused here, but if you have any questions, I'd be glad to help you. And my family, I have 2 sons, and they're both married, have real beautiful daughter-in-laws, and I have 5 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild. So I enjoy seeing them all. And one family lives in Mexico, Missouri, so I see them quite often. And I want to especially thank the business and professional women tonight for the honor, and I appreciate being here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Maxine. It sounds like you're heading for a real busy time. Any questions for Maxine?
No, but I have a comment. Last week she unloaded for the Lord's Cupboard so much she hurt herself.
You did?
She was in emergency.
No?
She pulled a muscle or something.
Oh, well, we appreciate everything you do, and certainly sounds like you do a lot for us. So thank you, Maxine. Now, we have a category called Outstanding School Employee. We have had winners in the past, such as Myrna Owens, Patsy Booth, Jane Rowe, Leslie Freeman, Marianne Partridge, Dianne Goudy, Judy Palumbo Gates, Virginia Brose, Danella Van Tassel, and Sue McCracken, Connie Wells. This year we are honoring an exceptional school employee that if you haven't ever had the opportunity to meet her, you've missed a great person. I introduce to you Teresa Mast.
Well, I'd also like to thank BPW. This is a very nice award that they give out. I moved to Fairfield, and hopefully this won't age me, back in 1988. I had graduated from Leazer College as a math major and special education teacher, and so my first job was here in Fairfield. And I think one of the deciding factors on why I chose Fairfield is because they had a Taco John's, and none of the other places I interviewed did. So potato Olays were very important to me back then. But no, I've lived in Fairfield ever since and just loved it. In fact, my first years here, then I attended the University of Iowa at night and evenings to get my master's degree in learning disabilities. So I think I was a student for about the first 26 years of my life, which about that point it got old. So, and a lot of you guys have really commended Dianne Goudy, but I would also like to point out a few other things about her that maybe you don't know. When I first came here, we had rooms right beside each other. So, as a first-year teacher, I was very nervous and didn't know, exactly what I was doing. And I will say, Dianne saved me many a times. I would run next door and say, "What do I do here? What do I do here?" Which was great, and I appreciate all of that, and I have never forgotten those days. But looking back, I was thinking over the years, she said, well, maybe mention some things that have changed in the school systems. And one thing, obviously, is technology has changed a lot. When I first came here, Dianne had a room full of just typewriters. Yet. Remember the old, those don't even exist anymore, I don't think. But anyway, after the first year, we got rid of the typewriters and started our new computer lab. Well, Dianne had all these old wooden desks in her room. And I thought, just bless her heart, she comes to me one day and asked me if I wanted, do you remember this? Yeah. Asked me if I wanted a couple of these old desks. I'm like, oh, she's so special. It's like, so I took a couple of the desks. Well, about 3 months into the next fall, I realized how useless they really were. And I think she just wanted to get them rid of it. They had wooden things, the kids would knock them around all day during class, but that's one side of Dianne, too. She's a very giving person. But it makes you wonder what. No, really. She was great when I first moved here. So for 9 years, I taught special education and mathematics, business math and practical math. And during that time, I also decided to go back to school and get my counseling endorsement. So in 1997, I did move into, Art Hutton had retired, so I moved into the counseling position and have loved it ever since. There's very challenging days, but there's also very rewarding days. And technology, like I said, is just a big part of any job anymore, I think. But anymore, career-wise, that's just something I have to work so hard on, is staying on top of those things, Kids don't anymore, it's not simple, they want to be a farmer or a doctor or anything like that. It's agricultural technician, web design major, so it's just a lot of ongoing information that we have to stay on top of, as well as dealing with, just the total change of family dynamics anymore in our society. And we have a great bunch of kids, I think, as far as Fairfield High School goes, and I love teaching that. And that was one other thing about this award that it kind of made it even more special to me, was the day Dianne had to come last Monday when she came to tell me that I was receiving it. Well, I had to tell her that after much heartache, I had accepted another job. So I'm going to be leaving Fairfield next fall, and like I said, it was a very hard decision because I think this is one of the greatest places to be. But I'd also need to get closer to my family, and if I'm ever going to do it, I never thought my first job I'd be at 15 years. So hopefully my next job will be just as great. But so this does mean a lot to me for personal reasons also. So I would again like to thank BPW for that.
Where's it going to be?
Oh, I'm sorry, in Waukee, Iowa, as a dean of students at Waukee High School. So I'm going from a small town farm girl to Fairfield to urban. So we'll see where that leads me, but I'm pretty excited about it. So, any other questions? So thank you. Well, thanks.
It was a weird Monday. It really was, because I bopped in her office and I'm going to tell her that she wins this, and then I just gotten this email where she had told everyone that she was leaving, and I cried. I mean, she is really a good friend of mine. She's outstanding. I mean, there's lots of staff out there that are very good. There really are. We have a really good faculty, but she is like top notch. I mean, I have been to her with all kinds of kids. I mean, I have. I mean, kids that have been just tear my hair out attitudes and, kids that are, really depressed and have some real serious issues going on, to kids that I just don't know where they're coming from. I mean, she has helped me through a lot of kids, because that's our job. We have to all be in it together. And so I will miss her immensely, but I have nothing but good wishes for her, because it's a step up for her professionally and personally. And so, we have to keep moving ahead, but you deserve this award. You are very, very good. And those desks weren't bad. I really liked them. But they had those old typing tray things, where they kind of wiggled, and so. Yeah. But really, the only reason I was nice to you at first was because she gets flowers every day on the first day of school. Every day, her mom, who was a teacher forever and forever, would send her this beautiful bouquet of flowers, and it's like, how do you rate best? And so that's the only reason. I just wanted flowers, and I never got her something. No, actually, it was fun to mentor with you. Now they have an official title for that. They call you a mentor. Have you heard that in public education, how everybody has a mentor? Before, we just did it because it was the right thing to do. You took care of the new man on the street, and now we have mentors. Okay, for Outstanding Female Marketing and Salesperson, we don't get to recognize her tonight because she's going to come in May. She recently had a surgery where it's just not real good for her to get around right now. But joining the ranks of Sally Hollander, Elizabeth Hunter, Judith Ward, Lindsay Oliver, Ruth Schneider, Deborah Brill, Jenna Foster, Sharon Kleinow, Judith Cox, Sarah Ledger is Laura Lee Brown. And a lot of you know Laura Lee. Laura Lee is a realtor, and a quite successful realtor, but it would just be better if we got to give her her award next month. Okay, so congratulations, Laura Lee. You're not on film, but we're proud of you. We have someone, well, let's just talk turkey here. Did you enjoy the meal tonight? Was it all right? Well, yeah, all right. There is a lady who makes sure that we have a lovely meal every time we have a BPW meeting. And we appreciate that, because that's one of the things our organization does really well. We mentor with each other, we support each other, we always have a guest speaker so we can learn, and we have great meals and lovely conversation, and that's important. That's important to us. We've had service providers from all kinds of areas that we've honored in the past, including Colleen Bates, Shirley Kitch, Deb Merritt, Kathleen Jones, Betty Motes, Sherry Cecil, Mary Stewart, Linda Dimmitt, Rita Pope, Pat Winton, Aidan Van Auken, and tonight we are honoring Vanita Teal's guest, who is none other than the wonderful cook for our meal tonight, Linda Wall.
No one told me that I was supposed to have something written to say, but most of you know I'm not lost for words. I always can meet people.
I didn't tell you, Linda. I knew you.
Yeah, thanks. It was rather a shock. It was 9:45, and I was still working in the kitchen for the next day, and I get this phone call, and of course, my mother, Mary Helen Leathers, lives here in town, and my great-grandmother, June Gorman, and I thought, oh no, what's wrong with one of them? And then she said, well, this is Diane. And I said, oh, you're planning the meal for this Monday night. No, I'm not calling for that. And so she told me, and I says, are you sure you had the right number? She said, yes, I do. A little about my life. I graduated from Fairfield High School in 1968. And we're going to be having a class reunion this year. And I was very honored, and I wish she was still alive, Lillian, because she presented me a scholarship to go from the BPW to go to a technical school. And I went to the Hawkeye Institute of Technology in Waterloo, and I took fashion and textiles. But look what I'm doing. And when I came back, moved back to Fairfield, there was a business that was for sale with fabric. But I decided, I had a small son at that time, and I didn't want to be that tied down. So I waited till my son, who is James, he's 30, and they live in Columbia, Missouri, his wife, and have 3 darling grandchildren down there. I get to see them more often because it's only 3 hours. Then I have a daughter, Stacy Hootman, and her husband, Jerry, and Alicia, that are in Orlando, Florida. So I don't get to see them very often. But the phone is a wonderful, wonderful thing, so we can talk back and forth. So first of all, I did not work when the children were small. And then I went into Indian Hills, and they had a school over at the care facility. And I taught the people over there how to read, write, use a computer, and just have fun. Then Leland Stanley caught me one day. He was my rural mail carrier, and he said, "Why don't you go take the test to be a rural mail carrier?" I said, "Yeah, I never pass it." He said, "Come on, try it." So I did, and I passed. So for 21 and a half years, I was a rural mail carrier. And then I went out of that position and babysat for a while. And then this opened up, and I always liked to cook. And I love to talk with people. I like people. And so I took this job, not knowing what it was, what was going to fall into my lap. And besides cooking here, I do all the outside work, all the inside. I do everything for the house. They hire you to be a little bit of jack of all trades. And I enjoy it very much. I enjoy the people and fixing all the new foods. I try them out on people, you know, and I say, "How do you like this? Can I do it again?" You know. Kiwanis, who meets every Wednesday night here, has learned to eat vegetables that they didn't think they would. I make them eat them and everything. But I want to thank you very much, and I feel very honored for getting this award. And BPW means a lot to me since I received one of their scholarships. And thank you very much.
That's a pretty cool story, really. I didn't realize that you got the BPW scholarship years ago, and now look, it comes back. What goes around comes around. That's neat, Linda. That's neat. And you are so flexible about, you know, calls like, we're going to have one more or one less, or, you know, could you have 2 more? And we really appreciate that because, I don't know, the world's getting a little more hectic lately, if nobody's noticed, and it's just hard to know, like 5 minutes from now, what you're going to be doing, much less 2 days, and so appreciate her flexibility with that. It's great. We have a category called Outstanding Female Professional, and we have honored a variety of professionals in the past, such as Teresa Holt, Sarah Cochran, Kathy Sherman, Sue Long, Joan Tedrow, Jody Kerr, Carol Yancey, Susan Rubus, Patty Hamilton. And this year, we get to honor someone who loves to read and loves stories, and I love to listen to her. How many of you had the opportunity at Econo Foods the other day when they had the breakfast, the fundraising breakfast that the public library put on, and Judy came out and read a story and had kids help her, and that was just cool. That was a neat community thing. So tonight we are honoring a very special woman involved with the Fairfield Public Library, and especially with our youth. Diane Whitney's guest. Let's welcome Judy Barchamone.
She got my name right. Aren't you impressed? I know she was practicing. Weren't you? Well, thank you very much. This is quite an honor. I'm always impressed with any organization that honors and elevates people who work with children, because that's sort of a underrated field, and I think it's very, very important. So the fact that you do have categories or honor, and the community honors people that work with children. Okay, so I'm like the total new kid on the block. In fact, when Diane called me, and I was so surprised, she said it was she had some good news, and I said, I like good news, and Diane teaches at the high school, and my son Davy doesn't have her, but I thought maybe something good about Davy. And then she told me about this. I thought, don't you have to live in Fairfield for like a gazillion years or something to get this award? And so it sounds like you do too, actually. But I have, unlike most of you, I have not been in this job for all that long. It'll be 5 years that I've worked at the library, 3.5 years as the youth services librarian. So you probably would enjoy hearing what I've been doing all this time, because I've been traveling and in different places. I started out in New York City. I grew up in the Bronx, in New York City, and I don't have an accent, but I could. And I went to college in New Jersey, and then I got a master's of library science at Columbia University. And after that, I thought, well, I'll settle down with a career. And then I thought, no, I won't yet. And I traveled. I went to Israel. I went on a work-study program on a kibbutz in Israel. And I thought I'd be there for half a year, as long as you learn Hebrew and you work on the kibbutz. And I thought, that's cool, and then I'll come back and get a career. Well, I stayed there for 20 years on this kibbutz. And I married a kibbutznik, and I lived in Israel on the kibbutz from 1970 to 1990. And when in Rome, you know, so I had lots of children, because that's what you do in Israel at the time. 4 was average. I had 6, because I guess I'm somewhat of an overachiever. I have two girls and 4 boys. One of the girls is over here. She's number 5 in the lineup going down. I have a daughter. She's this is where I get lost, the ages. That's why I brought you. A 31-year-old daughter, and she has 2 children and another one on the way. And then we have Natan. How old is he? There's Teresa, there's Natan. Come on, help me. 29? Natan's 29. He lives in Texas. There is Boaz. He's 26. My friend Diane helps me. He's in Wichita. There's Ishai. He's in the Air Force, and he's, how old is Ishai? He's 25 or something, and he's out in the state of Washington. There's Elaine. She's in Fairfield right now. She works out at the Raj. And then there's, Elaine's 19. And there's Davey. He's a sophomore at the high school, and he just made chamber singers. I'm so proud of him. That's what I thought, maybe the good, yes. And Davey's 16. So that's the family. They're all over the place, and they're fine. They're usually fine kids. They behave well in public. You can't ask for a whole lot more. And so I came back in 1990. We came back to America, and in Israel, I had worked with children. Actually, I've always worked with children in one capacity or another. So I worked as I was a daycare worker on the kibbutz. We have wonderful child care. That's another whole story. If you want to know about the kibbutz, that'll be another talk. But I also taught English as a foreign language for 5 years there in the high school. And then we came back to America, and my degree, my piece of paper from Columbia University was what opened doors for me, because that's what sort of counts here in America, the degree that you have, whether you used it or not for 20 years, you know, they didn't care. So I got a job in Palm Beach County. I was assistant youth services coordinator of the libraries there. And that was a good kind of entry thing, because I could pretend I knew what I was doing when I didn't really. And then I got a job. We moved to Central Florida. I was about an hour north of Orlando. I was a media specialist in a school, an elementary school in a small town in Central Florida, and I loved it. And I had to sort of pretend what I was doing there the first year, too. First year teaching is, as you know, Teresa, it's tough anytime you do that. But that was wonderful, and I had a really wonderful experience at the elementary school that I taught at in Florida. Then we moved to Iowa, and here we came to Fairfield. And the first time we came to visit Fairfield, I didn't really want to move to Iowa. There was reasons for employment reasons and all, but Iowa, and most of the people in Florida kept saying, oh yeah, she's moving to Idaho, and I'd go, no, Iowa, I'm moving to Iowa, not Idaho. And we came to Fairfield, and the people who were showing us around took us to the library, because that's what I wanted to see, and I think the new one had just opened up, and I kind of started salivating. I thought, wow, look at this, it speaks so well of the town, our library. We should be so proud of it, I know I am, and I think we all should be. And there was Jeff sitting at my desk, You all know Jeff Shepard, and I heard he was this wonderful, wonderful librarian, and I thought, oh. But there he was. So I came to Fairfield, and I got a job my first year out in the Outback. Do you know where Thornburg is? Thornburg? Past Whatshire? Up and down the hill. I was the media specialist at Tri-County, and that was great. I learned an awful lot there. I really did. I enjoyed it very much, but it was too far away. I was 52 miles. There was no way I could cut it shorter, whether I went to Sigourney or I went to Whatshire. It was always 50 miles. There was no way to cut down the distance, or Hedrick. I tried, and I hit a deer, and it was just, so that was, 1 year in Tri-County and a lot of books on tape. And then there was an opening in the Fairfield Public Library for a circulation person. I never worked with adults, but I wanted to get my foot into the library door. So I took the part-time job. Jim hired me. I was so happy. We went a long interview. I mean, he was very serious. And actually, it was quite fun working with adults. You guys, as adults, aren't bad. It was nice working at the front desk. I was very surprised, but I kind of, and Jeff was wonderful, and I saw, yeah, he really is great. What am I thinking? He's really wonderful. But guess what? He was getting an education. He was getting his master's, and he was going to leave and go to Minnesota. And I'm thinking, oh man, he's leaving. But I graciously waited. I didn't get too much drool around. I kind of did my work. And then when Jeff said he was leaving, again, Jim interviewed me, and he kept me on pins and needles, but I got the job that, I really, really wanted. So I've been I've been the librarian for about 3.5 years now. I'm going on to this will be my 3rd summer reading program. I promptly changed the name from children's librarian to youth services librarian because I like to work with teens too, and I thought it was very important to incorporate the young adults of the community into the library program. So I do summer reading programs for the elementary school, the preschool, and the young adults. And people come into the library and they look at me, some people, and they go, "You have the best job in town." Now, you all may feel that way about your jobs, I don't know, but when they say that to me, I go, yeah, I know, you're right, I do. And I love it, and I think Fairfield should be very proud of itself for the library. It's like the jewel in the crown of the community to have a place like that. People come from all over, and they're just like agape sometimes, and they're just so impressed, and I say, yeah, it's really wonderful here, isn't it? And Jim's a great boss. He lets me run my kingdom, and gives me a lot of leeway. And it's a very supportive community. Anytime I need anything, there's always help. I mean, for the summer reading program, I get money from the banks and from the stores. And Econo just did this fundraiser for us. It was their idea. And people come and tell stories during the summer and help with programming. There's volunteers. High school kids come and help. It's a very, very supportive community, and it's a pleasure to work here. And I have to tell you that of all the jobs I've had, and working with kids and all over the place, I must say this is my favorite one. This is truly my favorite job, and this is wonderful. This is whipped cream, but it's possible because of the community. I mean, if I didn't love it so much, then it wouldn't be. So it's really a reflection of the library and the community, this award, because it's just makes it easy and possible, and it makes all things possible working in the library. It's just wonderful. I'm going to just have a really busy summer coming up. It's Laugh It Up at the library, and it's going to be doggone funny. So I'm taking that in all kinds of places. Okay.
Thank you, Judy. If you've never had a story read to you by Judy, you are missing a part of your life.
I have a book in my bag. Oh, no.
She is a great storyteller, and regardless of the age, she is really great to listen to. And I'm so glad you're so proud of the library, because it is just the coolest.
Is there anybody here who's not? Aren't you all?
Probably.
You were here. I wasn't here when you built it. I came in. I hear stories about the old library. I'm glad I don't have to look into the bison every day.
Well, the old library was very cool too in its own way, but the community had grown to the point where we needed this other library, and it was fun for those of us who were involved with the whole process of getting it here, and it's cool. And whenever I go to another town, I know this is a little queer, but I'll admit it, I go to the library of the town. I do, because I don't know, I just like them, and I like to go see what they have. And I have yet to find a library that has the feeling that ours does. I mean, it's inviting, but yet it's not stuffy, but yet it's not loose and crazy, but yet, wow, I think we really have something. I really do.
If you want loose and crazy, come Thursday morning. We have toddler story time.
I used to do that all the time. I used to do that. But what better gift can we give our kids than the ability to read and find out what the world is? And BPW, I remember years ago, had a guest speaker about the penal system and penitentiaries and stuff, and I don't know why I remember this, but we did. And I remember him saying that the average reading level of the inmates at the Iowa State Penitentiary was 8th grade reading level. And I'll never forget that statistic, and I'm not one to remember statistics, but it's like doesn't that say to us that one piece of keeping everything moving in the right direction is the ability to read? Because maybe some made a poor choice, I understand that, but maybe if they had been in a situation or in a job or in a career or whatever it was where they got to use that higher level, you know, maybe it wouldn't be in the situation they were today. So I always have remembered that statistic, and I think we just have got to read and read and read and read and read. I even bug kids who are in study hall about reading, don't I, Jordan? I do. It's like, why did you read? Why did you do something? I don't even care what you read, just read. I just think it's really important, really important. I've had the honor of having him as a student in my study hall, and we've talked about reading. Okay, so we're down to the last, and that doesn't mean the least. That means the last in the list of outstanding females. Now, this is called the non-traditional career. And I think that's pretty powerful, because what that says is that not all women may choose this, but we have outstanding women in it. And as I read the names, you'll go, I see what you mean, because they're very, very diverse. We had Teresa Kaminsky, we had Suzanne Bates-Kessel, we had Kathy Axford, Phyllis Adrian, Joanne Book, Dorian Atwood, Carolyn Owens, Sandy Nelson, Virginia Greiner, Julie Harvey. And this year, we have Patty Adams-Gast, and she is a dairy farmer. And that is something that a lot of us perhaps started with, but she is doing it on a daily basis, and I have nothing but respect for you. I grew up on a dairy farm. I've been there, done that. And that is work. That is work. We always said Dad was married to Mom, but Dad was married to the farm, you know, the cows, because they needed and demanded as much attention as everything else did. And it took a certain amount of talent to make the farm work. And we saw a lot of people around us who didn't have what it took. You know, I'll get on my soapbox here, but you know, the stigma, oh, the dumb old farmer on the highway. You know, if you're a dumb old farmer on the highway, you're probably not going to be farming in the next year or two, because it's big business and it takes a talent to make it work. And so we'd like to honor you, and let's welcome Elaine Lunsford.
Thank you. Well, I'm sure I have the most non-glamorous job of anyone here. I didn't attend college, and what I did, I guess what you say is I have a degree in life. I came up from a family of 8 children, and I'm sure my dad didn't think when he was done with the dairy business that it would go to a daughter instead of one of the 4 sons. But my husband and I've been in the dairy with my dad since I've been 13 years old, and my husband and I are going to be married for 30 years. And that poor sucker married into this, and he's been with me 28 years in the dairy, which he's home milking now and hoping I'm going to be there soon. So I'll try to make it short and sweet. Now, when Diane called, I have to apologize, because I was not like overly friendly. I thought it was another one of those late night solicitors when I was trying to get done milking. And then she mentions my daughter. She was my daughter's teacher, and I thought, well, what do you want to tell me about Jennifer? And then she starts saying, no, I've got to tell you what you've won. And I said, you're joking me. And then when she kept saying, no, I really am not joking you, I said, what are you talking about? So then she went through the whole spiel about what it was and how it came about, and I'm still in shock. Because all my life, it's just like you work all those times, and people don't understand. A job description is what you said to give. I said, besides being a mother and a grandmother, I milk cows, I'm a veterinarian, I'm a bookkeeper, I have to do paperwork on the cattle because we have all registered cattle. We milk over 100 head. We have taken it from what we originally started as just a family farm to a family dairy farm, and now my husband and I have made it a dairy operation, which is to me a professional way of saying it. And we were awarded 2 years ago the second highest producing Ayrshire herd in the whole United States. So over 100 heads, so I was pretty proud of that. Thank you. And I'll tell you, if you want to feel like you're really somebody, and I have no degree, but I felt like I was a professor of dairy science when Leslie Freeman brings her kindergarten class out every year, and they make you feel like you are a professor. And they are. That's all they want to do. They want to be a dairy person. They think I am the luckiest person in the whole world. And they ask Mrs. Freeman if they can stay. And she has to tell them, no, we got to get back to school. But they make me feel just like really like I'm a very knowledgeable person. And then we have had several visiting groups that have come from Russia, the Ukraine, and different groups from Fairfield, adults, and Van Buren County. And those people are like giant children. They can't ask enough questions. So at least you feel like you're doing something for someone. All those, because we put in a lot of hours, let me tell you. When we're out there at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning on a really cold night, and you wonder if anybody even knows you're there. I want to thank everybody.
I don't know why you said you thought you knew something. It sounds like you do know something. I don't think it's a think anymore, and I think that's pretty cool. I don't know if you remember, but when I had Josh and your son in marketing class, your husband came in and talked to my class, and he brought your whole binder, your incorporated farm papers, and he talked all about, you know, the farm and being an entrepreneur and sharing that whole story. And Josh was very proud. That was a big day, you know, because that was his day.
For such a dirty job.
Well, that is what it is. It's good. And so I remember him coming in and sharing that, and I thought that was a pretty neat story. So congratulations to you on that. So that brings us to the close of this. So you may go, well, I don't know if this was good or bad or whatever, but if all of us takes just a piece of this back to our home and back to our jobs and back to our families and do just a little bit better or continue with the level that we've been performing, then the world's out there for us. And so I commend all of you for sharing that with us. Diane has a little bit to share about a scholarship program that some of you may be interested in.
Yes, Linda mentioned scholarship, and that's one of the things that BPW is very proud of, is offering scholarships. There are scholarships offered on the national level. The state level has scholarships that are offered, and we here in Fairfield also offer a scholarship, and we are offering this year again a $500 scholarship, and we offer these to non-recent graduates. We aim them at women primarily who are returning to further their education in order to improve their career opportunities. And that will be presented at our May meeting. Those scholarships forms are available from me, and the deadline for getting those submitted is May the 9th, which gives us another couple of weeks to get things. So if any of you are interested, or if you know of someone that might be interested, you can have them contact me, and I would be happy to talk with them, and I would be happy to get those forms to them so that they could fill them out and be considered for that, because we work hard. We're a small little group here, and being able to offer a $500 scholarship, we feel is we're proud of that, and we're also proud of what it does to help the members of our community in improving their situations as well. Our major fundraiser now is a fall craft show that we are going to be having on October the 19th. Is that correct, the correct date? And it will be held at the fairgrounds, at the activities building there. So you can look for information coming up in regards to that as well.
That's great. I don't know if you realize what a classy woman this is, but this is Dianne Goudy. She was the state business and professional women's president for what year, do you remember?
Oh, do we really want to say?
No, we don't want to say. But really,
16 years ago. So.
Yeah, she was. And when I came to this organization, she was one of the first ones that I got to know. And then I realized that she went through all the ranks and was our state president. And she's very capable of conducting meetings. And when we have quite we have quite a history here. I mean, we had the Lillian Thetas, we had the
three.
Diane Whitneys, we've had several state officers here.
3 state presidents from our local organization.
3.
3. Helen.
Oh, Helen Pickup Knox. That was before my time. But, so some of you, I hope you don't leave here feeling like, oh, this is a membership ploy. They bring you here, because it's not. This is sincerely an honor that we gave you. We are an organization that we are open to women of all working denominations. And one thing that's powerful about us is that I belong to a lot of professional organizations, but they seem to be geared toward my profession. These are the teachery people, and these are the thisy people. But the business and professional women are very diverse. We're all kinds of people, and we enjoy that, and we enjoy the camaraderie. And Elaine, I forgot to say the reason why I started talking about Josh and then Jennifer, because I thought you thought I was a telemarketer. I mean, I could just sense this. And I thought, she's going to hang up. It's going to happen. So I thought, how can I keep this lady on the line? And I thought, and Jennifer. I mean, I still remember that because I thought, she's going to go right here. So
I told my husband the way the conversation started, so whenever I tell any of the people around home about it, he says, no, don't say it like that. Say it like you really said it to me. Yeah.
It's just like, yes, how I do. It's like, prove it to me in the next 30 seconds or I'm going to hang up, So you were doing it to me. I felt bad. It's all right. So, thank you very much, ladies. Hope you enjoyed your night.
And I would like to thank Diane. She has been doing this. She was instrumental in starting this awards event that we have and has continued with it ever since. And she has it down to a real fine art, and it's a pleasure to work with her in this. And in thinking about, those of you that have received awards tonight, or those of you that are our guests of the award recipients, you can be thinking about this next year, because I'm sure that we're going to be doing this again same time next year. So the end of March, first part of April, you can be looking for those ballots at the banks, at all of our financial institutions here, in the newspaper, the town crier, and you can start your own little campaign to nominate somebody that you think deserves the recognition. Yes, we as BPW members have the opportunity to vote as well, but each of us only has one vote, the same as any of you. So if you feel that there's someone that really deserves, a little recognition, why, you can cut that ballot out of the newspaper, and you can suggest to your coworkers, to your family, to your neighbors, that don't you think it would be nice to vote for so-and-so for this particular category. And then you can start your own little campaign and hopefully get that person some recognition. And we really appreciate the FPAC taping this for us tonight. And it's an opportunity then for the entire community to share in this event as well. So thank you very much for being with us. We will be having a short business meeting, and you're all welcome to stay. But we know that you all have very busy lives, and if you feel that you need to leave, why, that is quite all right too. And we just are so proud of all of you, and thank you for being here this evening.